Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Man, I got so many things I want to talk about. I really want to talk about language, culture, and race. Maybe not so much race, because I think language and culture are the more prevalent aspect of society. Even if, even if skin tone typically tends to be the first thing we see with people, and we can infer race just from the way a person looks, right? And to me, there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. It's just our culture and our race are just the clown makeup we wear. And I wish I didn't make. I wish I was the one who came up with that, because I've told you about y'all. I've told y'all about Karina before, the girl I work with, the lady I work with. She's the one who came up with that. She knows about the clown world thing. So, and she says something very wise. It blows my mind. That was over a week ago. Take this off. Over a week ago. I'm just gonna tell the story. Over a week ago, we had some. We have. I've talked about this before. We have Guatemalans and Mexicans and Haitians and people like that from Central Americans. They come to the store every other day to either buy alcohol or whatever, and I don't have a problem with them. They're nice. They're genuinely nice people. Generally nice people, not genuinely. And it's like they don't speak English for the most part. They either have a young person with them or a child with them that knows English, like their kid or whatever. They usually get the kid to translate, and to me, it's going to be strange to just say it the way I'm going to say it, but to me, that's wicked. It doesn't make sense to me, and I have to reiterate this, that I am Hispanic. I'm Latino, so it's like it's never made sense to me moving to a country and not learning the language, only because it would benefit you very greatly to learn the language in the country you're in. I'm not going to move to Japan and not learn Japanese. Let's put it that way. They wouldn't treat you very well. They're going to talk shit behind your back. It's not like we do that, but I'm saying, like, in general, it's a really, really good idea to speak the language. And I'm not really willing to debate that. That's not what this video is about, really. And she says something along the lines, and she agrees with that concept. She tells me about it all the time. She gets frustrated with the people there that don't speak English, because she spent a lot of time. She was born in Mexico. She spent 17 years in Mexico, and I think it was her last 2 years of high school. She moved to America, to Oklahoma, and she kind of clung to this one white girl, to teach her how to speak English, and she really put a lot of effort into it. And that's how she learned. She speaks very well. She has a little accent, but that's whatever. So she said, I'm not sure what sparked this. She said something along the lines of, it's like they're afraid to take off the clown makeup. And I was like, yeah, you nailed it. Like, wow, what a saying, because you can apply that to like everybody on the planet. Everybody, like even myself. I apply it to me because one of the first things I do is reflect on myself. And then I'm like, wow, that's deep. That's super deep. People are afraid to remove the clown makeup because they identify with it. They identify with their language. They identify with their culture. And people, and I'm going off what Karina said, right? Because she lived in Mexico, and she says her family, she's got people in her family who refuse to learn English. And I said something along the lines of, people like that think that if they assimilate into another language or another culture, that they'll just disappear. They'll just poof, they'll disappear forever. And it's not like that. That's a absolutely ridiculous notion to even think that. But I understand it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't understand. I do understand. It's that fear associated with identity. Like, once you identify with your culture, or with your race, or with your color, or with your language, you cling to it. You make it your god. instead of actual God. And I'm going off the premise of Christianity here, so if you don't like Christian stuff, I'm not apologizing, just deal with it. I'm making metaphors. That's what the Bible is filled with, metaphors in their language. And it's hard to translate that, but we can apply it to ourselves very easily and very quickly if we just have an open mind. So I say something like, people are afraid because they think they'll disappear. And she says something along the lines of, people are afraid to take off their clown makeup. And to me, this goes back, I've talked about it before, this goes back to the Tower of Babel story, where you had humanity almost as one culture, one big culture. And that was a problem in God's eyes. And you think, why was it a problem? Because they were building the Tower of Babel. And you could think of the Tower of Babel as a metaphor for humanity getting too big for its britches. They were trying to build with physical things a stairway to heaven. You've heard that stupid cheesy song, Stairway to Heaven. They're trying to build a stairway to heaven to God. They wanted to be gods. And God himself is like, you're not learning the right lesson. I'm going to have to separate you, make you speak different languages, make you have different cultures, make you have different dialects, so you can't communicate with each other anymore. And if you want to begin communicating with each other, you're going to have to learn God's language. You're going to have to learn what it takes to be. You're going to have to come back to the Father with a capital F. And anybody else who deviates from that path, you're going to be stuck in hell, meaning stuck in your culture, stuck in your race, stuck in your color, clinging to these superficial things like raza. Ooh, I'll talk about that. To me, this idea of, in Spanish, family is familia, and raza is race. So, but it's a little more deeper than, it's not that deep, but it's a little deeper than just the words. It's like, you'll have your like, Mexicans have big families, right? Hispanics. And it's like your race and your familia are the big things. Like, you have to be loyal to them or else, kind of deal. It's like you do something against your familia and you're almost like you're the black sheep. They're not going to do the Jehovah's Witness thing and shun you. It's not going to be anything like that. And they might. But it's like, once you go up against the familia or you turn against your race, it's like you're the black sheep. And they'll keep you around, though, because they might need you for something. That's the thing. That's the trick. Like, you're being tricked into this idea of familia. Your familia is toxic. Your family's toxic. And I really don't care what country you're from. It's like that all over the world. Your family will be the first ones to stab you in the back. But in the media, it's almost the opposite. It is the opposite. It's the opposite portrayal. Like, family is everything. And, you know, your mother is everything. Your mother and father's home. If you're down in the dumps, you can go back to them. And it's like, no. Don't go back to them. They're toxic, right? I don't like that word, but it's the best descriptor I got. Your toxic familia are the first one, are the snakes in the grass. They're the first ones that are going to stab you in the back. Your raza, your race, are going to be the first ones to stab you in the back and be the first ones to say, how could you do this to me? I'm your raza, I'm your familia. Why would you do this? It's like, and it's all a control mechanism. That's all culture is a means of controlling groups. And that's the clown makeup. But the culture and the raza and the familia is just the clown makeup. You're a child of God, first and foremost. The first commandment, like, thou shalt not have no gods but me, it's not a threat, it's a warning. As soon as you make your familia your God, like, you'll do anything for them, even murder and steal. That's the problem that occurs. It's like, if you were let's say an example, if you were my real familia or my real raza, if you really loved me, you would do this, that kind of shit. It's emotional blackmail. And your family will be the first ones to pull this shit on you. It won't be, you're almost better off like hanging out with strangers in a sense. But when I say familia, I'm talking about your blood family. Your mother, father, your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, your aunts. I'm not talking about the family that God wants you to venture off into the wild and make. The person you marry, the person you're supposed to bond with, like the complete stranger you're supposed to start a family with and the kids you have. I'm not talking about that familia. I'm talking about your blood relatives. Those are toxic familia. I experienced it firsthand with my wife's mother-in-law and their mess. And it's like, do you see the problem? When I talk to my wife, do you see the problem? Like, your blood family, and I'm not trying to put her family down. They're nice people. But it's like, do you see the issue? Familia is toxic. It's a toxic idea. It's meant to keep you down, keep you at their level. Because the moment, let's say for instance, you're from Mexico, you come into the United States to work, you start learning English, and suddenly, you're talking to your cousin on the phone in Mexico, and they're like, what are you doing, man? You're not, I won't do that accent. What are you doing, man? They're like, you speaking English now, you fucking pendejo? It's like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to be making it, dude. Like, why are you trying to keep me down? Like, that kind of shit. Your family is out to keep you down. And it's not, well, I'm not saying it's like that with every single family member, but overall, it's like, that's just the way it is. And that's a problem. That is a problem. Same with your culture. Oh, you're not raza anymore? What's going on? It's like that kind of shit. It's like, nah, bitch, I'm just trying to make it. Suddenly I'm a fucking coconut, Like all of a sudden I'm a coconut because, which is an insult, meaning you're brown on the outside, white on the inside. Like suddenly you're a coconut just because you want to learn English or you want to speak well. Like I spent time in high school to speak properly because I used to have the little Latino accent and I didn't like it, so I got rid of it. I wanted to speak well because something inside me told me, it said, if I'm going to make it in this country, I need to learn how to speak well. And that's what I set out to do. So I spent a lot of time with books. I remember being, I might have been a senior in high school. I spent a lot of time with my white friends. And of course I got accused of betraying my raza, right? That old chestnut. Oh, that's a classic. Oh, that's adorable. Anyway, I spent a lot of time just reading books out loud to myself. Let's say like for homework. I'll take it home and just read out loud and try to pronounce better. I'm not the best at it still. I suck at reading, but that's not the point. And I got accused of wanting to sound white all the time, and it's like, just fuck off, man. Like, it's just amazing to me how in the culture, not even in the culture, in the media, because the media will gaslight you too with these concepts. Right now, there's a big push. There's a big thing about culture is your identity and family is your identity, and like, no, you're a child of God first and foremost, but that's out of the picture. Like, you can't talk about God in schools, you can't talk about God on TV, you can't talk about God. Well, you can talk about God on YouTube, but barely. We'll see how long that lasts. Give it another 10 years, 20 years. You won't be allowed to say you're a Christian on YouTube, I guarantee it. But to me, the Tower of Babel story, God needed to separate his children on purpose. It's a filtering system. It's like, I'm going to give you different languages, different cultures, different skin tones. Let's see if you can return to me. And it seems cruel and unusual, right? But we don't know God's ways. It's amazing to me.
What I learned.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Hassan? How were you helped last year? Will you have anything changed about you?
Ceasing to exist.
And what do you mean by that?
Becoming nothing, essentially. Like all the things that I've identified with. And it's weird because at first you get scared. You're like, oh no, if I let go of all these things I've identified with, who am I?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
what I'm realizing now is that all those things that I identified with and I was scared to let go, now I'm actually finally getting them because I can appreciate them and see them for what they are instead of the fear of losing them. And it was all that I thought was me.
Yeah. Amazing.
So, yeah, just
Nice.
becoming nothing.
Nice. So let me.
All right, yesterday I talked about letting This idea about letting go of your culture, because it's a social construct. I didn't say that directly, but that's what I meant. It is a social construct. It's a trick. And some people would argue it's a reality trick. I don't necessarily think so. Well, it is. You know what? I take that back. It is a reality trick, but, and I said it yesterday, God separated the races, gave us different cultures, or rather allowed us to have different cultures, different languages on purpose. A Tower of Babel separation, so that we can return to Him, to truly filter who can return to Him. And the video I just played is a church service from Bond, B-O-N-D, Bond, with Jesse Lee Peterson. And the guy who was talking, his name is Hassan. He's a young guy. He's their sound engineer. I know who he is. I've heard him plenty of times. And I can't believe what he just said. And I watched the church service at work, the day after I made that video. And I'm gonna splice all this video together, so it's one video, one big mega video. Anyway, and it's amazing to me that he said that when he did, because. And also the thing I noticed is that the title of the church service, or at least in the thumbnail, it was called "When You Disappear," and I didn't catch that at first. I clicked it and started listening to it because I really, really enjoy his church service. It's just eye-opening. Like it's as if they're talking about my life. All of the people, because it's like it's fellowship. Like everybody talks about their little issues, but it's not in a bitching kind of way, in a seeking kind of way, like. And we all have the same problem. That's when I realized, and I've listened to so many of these. I've been listening to this guy for like 4 years at this point, and the church service is just so good. And I don't know, it sounds crazy, but it's like church is so boring, right? Like you go to church and and the stupid preacher just preaches at the people. He quotes the Bible, and it has no substance, no meaning, no spirit, nothing. Like you go there and the people pretend like they understand, and they don't know shit. And I'm not saying I know shit, but I'm definitely telling you, the little Christians at church don't know shit either. And because I've been around it. I've been around these crazy Catholics, especially Hispanic, Latino Catholics. They're just nutso. But that's besides the point. What Hassan said just now, and I'm gonna put the video within this audio recording. He said that I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly, but he's starting to realize he needs to disappear. And what he means by that is exactly what I was talking about yesterday, which was to let go of your culture, let go of your raza, right? Your race, your skin tone. Remove these, let go of these things, and you can't do it yourself. You have to have the realization that you've been tricked into thinking that it matters, your culture, as if your culture matters. And it matters to the extent that you have memories of it. And like Hassan said, he realized that once he let it go, it came back to him. It found him again. That's what happened to me. And what Hassan said that, and it happened to me, I let it go. I let myself be a blank slate. And that was pretty much all year last year. Where I let go, once I forgave, right? Once I forgave my mother, suddenly my culture didn't matter, my race didn't matter. I just realized I was a spirit in that moment. And I realized that before, but it really struck me at that moment. And like a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I feel like I could finally almost like have not almost always, but I feel like I could have a relationship with God directly without a preacher man getting in the way. And that's how it should be. That's how it's supposed to be, and that's how it is. Every human being has the potential to have a direct connection with God. And you don't need a preacher man, you don't need the Bible to get in the way. And I didn't realize that until I let go of everything. Like, I put it in His hands with a capital H. I let go of my culture. I let go of my past. And once I let go of that, it's almost as if it was trying to find me again. Like, the memories began flooding back. I had a new appreciation for the culture. It was so weird. It's almost as if it didn't happen, but it did happen. Like a weird dream when I think about my past. And I can listen to the music now without being angry, because I used to be angry, like listening to Tejano music, which is South Texas. Sometimes they call it cumbia. I think I've talked about this before, but I can listen to it now and appreciate it. I like, in a way, it's almost like, and the name post nostalgos is like getting over your nostalgia. That's what it means. I've talked about it before, but it's like I went back, and not even a regression. It's like I went back and I can recognize it and appreciate it, and then let it go again. It's like I come back to being in the present, and it's like the memories flood back, but it's okay. I just let it pass. It's just crazy to me. It's It's an unbelievable experience. It's unreal. This way. It's like I can think about what I learned about Mexican and Hispanic and Latino heritage in Texas, and have a newfound appreciation for it. And I remember this very specific thing. I had a junior high teacher who was very heavy. He was a Texas history teacher, and he was really, really into it. Like to the point where he would like the stories he would tell and the way he would present it was just like interesting. But it's funny. It's kind of sad and funny at the same time that I didn't appreciate it then, but I think I had to go through it because the way he describes South Texas history and the Mexican-American War, it like has new meaning to me, and that's not what I want to talk about really, but that's what I mean by it finds you. It comes back to you. You won't disappear. Like once you disappear, it's almost as if like you disappear and then you reappear as an almost born again, like a phoenix, right? That old mythology, the phoenix rising. You had to be burnt to a crisp so you can grow new flesh. That kind of shit. Like these stupid little stories have meanings. Like this mythology stuff. It's just crazy to me now. Like it's unbelievable. Just to realize that you're walking around in clown makeup until you get over the fear, right? You remove the clown makeup and you don't disappear. Like there's a face underneath that makeup. You don't have to be scared. But then you can put back on the makeup. You could put the makeup back on and it's not a problem, right? Like I can turn on the Mexican thing or the Hispanic thing easily, like turn it off and on. Like there's this dude from Mexico that comes around and he buys beer and he always forgets his ID and I have to turn him away every time. We get into it almost every time and I don't let him try to get away with that raza shit because he's tried it before. And I don't let it pass. I don't let him get away with it. I said, you need your ID or your passport. I'm not selling you alcohol. And he came in a few days ago and he said, hey, ¿cómo estás? And, right off the bat, it's like, without missing a beat, I go, hey, hola, ¿cómo estás? How are you? Like, no hard feelings. I can just go in and out of that clown. I can put on the clown makeup really quickly and take it back off. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just like, it's a part of me, but it's not a part of me at the same time. And I feel like I can do that with anything now. The father thing, the husband thing. It's just the exterior, the superficial. It's not me. It's not my identity. I can drop it when I need to drop it. I can put it on when I need to put it back on. It's like a costume. You know what's funny though? Talking about costumes. When I was younger, I used to think culture was fun. I used to think heritage was fun. The stereotypical lazy Mexican getup. That's actually the ranchero getup, like the cowboy hat, the big sombrero, and the poncho, right? That stereotypical gunslinger Mexican look was fun. And it was fun to me, like, seeing a white guy or seeing a black guy wear that kind of stuff, that costume, it's a costume. It's clown makeup. And there's all different races of rancheros. Ranchero just means like someone who owns a ranch or works on a farm. And that was my father. My father grew up on a ranch. He dressed like a cowboy. Maybe I'll show a picture of him sometime. Because the one picture I have of him and my mother, he's in that getup. He's in that ranchero getup. Because that was his, that's how he identified. In a way, it's humbling. It's very humbling to see him in that costume. It's funny, like, and I don't know how he felt about it. But I have a feeling, and I don't know for sure, I have a feeling that maybe he understood that too. Or maybe I'm the second go around with his soul. I've talked about this before too. but culture was fun to me. Like Irish culture, Mexican culture, Black American culture. It's supposed to be something we share with each other and have a good laugh about, because we just need to, like, I don't know, I just knew it in my heart that it was something not so serious. But nowadays it's so poisonous, it's so toxic, right? Your familia and your culture are toxic now. Like, you better not wear that costume if you're white. Like, if you go, especially, I don't know, and it's weird because I watched a video where I think it was PragerU, and I know PragerU is like, oh no, PragerU. But I watched a video where a white guy went into some kind of Hispanic area, into like a Hispanic market, and he wore that ranchero getup with the poncho and all that. And the Mexicans there didn't care. The Latinos didn't care. They thought it was cool. They was like, oh, that's a nice costume. They understood it was a costume. And the only people getting upset were like liberal white people, liberal Caucasians. It's so eye-opening seeing stuff like that. And the same guy in a separate video dressed like it might have been a female. No, I think it was a guy. He was dressed in the stereotypical Chinese getup with the rice hat and all that, and the little I don't know what it's called, the Chinese getup, but it's like a robe. And he was walking around like Chinatown or some shit in some other state. I don't know where. You can probably look it up and find it pretty easily. Maybe I'll find it and link it. I don't know. But he was walking around, and it was the Chinese people there were talking to him about it and asking him about it. They liked it a lot. I guess because it reminded them of home or whatever. But they seem to be okay with it. And it's so easy to edit a video like that and cherry pick, right? But it's still closer to the truth than you would get from something like maybe CNN or something, right? It's still propaganda. Like, I get that. You don't have to say, oh, it's propaganda. I know PragerU is propaganda. I know it is. That's not even close to being what I have to say about this topic. But my point is, this toxicity is so prevalent now. Like, you can't have fun with anything. Old Tom and Jerry cartoons with the mammy black housekeeper getup. There is a character on there, I don't know her name was Mammy or not, just call her Mammy, where it's like, you never saw her face, you'd always see her bottom half, and it's very obvious she's a black lady. And she's the housemaid. And Tom and Jerry are like, they're getting into their shenanigans. And it's funny. But that getup is like a stereotype, right? The Aunt Jemima thing. And so they whitewash it, they get rid of it. It's gone. Like, you can't even talk about culture anymore without some white person getting mad, to be honest. It seems to be it comes from all people, right? But it seems to be at least in America, I'm not talking about other countries, but it's probably there too. At least in America, it's the white Caucasians that get uppity for no reason. It's like, ooh, you used the word uppity. What are the implications of that? Ooh. Anyway. And there's another guy, I love watching him. His name is Tio Choco, and he's a black dude, and he wears the ranchero getup, and he dances to Tejano with other Mexicans and stuff. And it's so funny, like, being a Latino and being raised around that, it's like, yeah, he nailed it. Like, he understands the culture to the point where he can parody it, and I'm okay with that, because it's like, yeah, dude, you nailed it. Like, you look like, I wouldn't mistake you for one of my uncles, thrusting his hips and getting drunk and dancing to Tejano music. Like, he got it. And everybody loves him, right? But that shit wouldn't fly if it was a white dude. And that's worrisome, that's bothersome. Because it's just for fun, dude. Like, culture is just the clown makeup you wear. And people just cling to it like life or death. Like, they'll disappear, they'll die if they don't have their culture, and it's just insanity to me. It always has been. Thank you for your time, guys. Have a nice day.